Let's talk about our 606 harness. When you're building an electric guitar and you have a pickup or pickups, you need to have some controls to control the volume and then also control the tone. We make a harness all put together, pre-soldered, ready to go, stick it in the box, make a few connections, and you're good to go. A lot of people like to build the harness and do all the wiring themselves, buy the individual components that we sell, buy the wire, solder it all together, and you can do the same thing. But if you want kind of a fast solution, we sell harnesses that are put together. We got all the components soldered, wired, ready to go, just make the connections. Let's take a look at what's included in a harness. You'll find, first off, you'll find two pots, and pots is short for potentiometer. Basically, it's just a variable resistor, one of which is the volume pot that controls the volume leaving the guitar and going into the amplifier. The other one is a tone pot, and it's another potentiometer. The added component on there is this little green thing, which is a capacitor. It's a 0.047 microfarad capacitor. By the way, both of our pots are rated at 500 kiloohms. That's standard. There's other ratings that are out there that other guys like to use, but this is what we sell. It works in the majority of applications. So you have the two pots. You also obviously have a way to connect to the amplifier. There's wires that run out to the jack. You have another white wire, completely separate white wire, that is actually the ground for the bridge. What I suggest to people is that they kind of snake this white wire up through the lid of the box and have it lay underneath the bridge. I strip about an inch to inch and a half off of there, snake it up, lay it over, and when I tighten down the bridge, it makes an electrical connection. Some people like to solder it on there. Some people like to use copper foil and then solder to that. But I find that it works pretty well, or at least it's always worked for me, just to have that kind of compression fit, and that works out really well. Well, let's talk about the next wire, which is the one that is used to hook up to the pickup. What you'll notice is that again, on this we have a braided wire, and at the end there's a little red wire, and then the white and the jacket are soldered together. That is the ground, this is the hot, and that's where you hook up to your pickup. I'd like to show you a kind of a demonstration. I'm going to go ahead and put one together here. I have a $5 pickup here. Coming off of that is a black lead and a red lead. And just so happens that I know that the red is the hot, and I'm going to go ahead and twist these two together. One of the things I always tell people when you're building is it's always best to do a mock-up or do an initial setup on your tabletop or your desktop. It's a lot easier to solve problems, replace components, and fix things before you put them into the cigar box guitar. So let's say we've got this put together. Let me grab my amp. And I have my tuning fork here. Let me turn the volume all the way up. So you see, by using this tuning fork, running it in front of the pickup, you get that A440 coming through the amplifier. Then what you can also do is kind of check it, and you want to make sure that your pots are working. You can dial it up and dial it down using the volume pot. You can do the same with the tone pot. It's a little harder to tell the difference, but there is a difference if you listen closely. So there we have putting it together, testing it on the desktop or on my tabletop. Really happy with it. And let's go ahead and talk about making the connections. And again, it's pretty simple. I've shown you this before. This is my helping hands, my soldering station. Works really well for me. What I like to do is, again, strip the wires. And I tell everybody what you need to do is, if you don't have one, get one of these Gardner Bender GS361s. The good thing about this is it'll go down to 30 gauge wire, and some of the wires on these electronic components, these pickups and on these harnesses, pretty small, and a standard wire stripper that you're going to find is not going to do the job. So make sure you get one that'll go down low enough. So I strip it back about 1/4 inch, wrap them together, and then I stick them in my helping hands. You can see it's just really helpful to hold the wires while you're getting ready to solder. Have a simple soldering iron. just a very low cost, low budget one. I have some .030 solder, works really well. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit on this damp paper towel, and then I'm gonna tin the end of my soldering iron. And then I'm gonna come over here and, getting a little feedback through the amplifier when I get close to it with the soldering iron. So then what I do is I just come over here and I just lay the solder onto the wire, and because of capillary action, it'll suck it in and make a real nice connection. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. The last thing I like to do is anytime I make a connection is I like to use some heat shrink tubing. I'll slide a little piece of it over there. We have it in our product line. It's small, it works well. Take my butane torch, heat it up, get it shrunk on there nice and tight. Just come in and clamp the end. And now I've got a really nice connection. You can see the connection that I've made, soldering the two wires together, putting heat shrink tubing on it, and I'm ready to go. And then I repeat and do the same thing with the ground wires. Again, that's probably after you have it installed in the guitar and it's kind of the final operation, but I did it here on my workbench to show you. One other thing I'd like to talk about is our 735. 735 is an economy harness, basically the same thing as a 606. Same kind of components, same kind of schematics, same kind of installation, same kind of operation. But what we did here is we focused on, as the name implies, we focused on economy. Again, a little bit lesser components, still good components, they're still going to work. Lesser wire, but they work out really well. Same thing you'll find here, everything you got the two pots, you got the jack, you got a black ground wire, and then what you'll see is you have two little separate wires. A red one for the hot off of the pickup, and then a black one that goes to the back of the pot, and that's the ground for the pickup. Again, everything's the same, works the same, they're really good quality. You won't have any problem with these. I kind of suggest this to guys who are building a lot of guitars, and especially the guys that are trying to resell them, that need the cost down low to keep the prices low and to still make a good margin on the sale. If you use these economy harnesses and you use something like our $5 pickup, you can get the complete electronics for a cigar box guitar for under $10, and we think that's a great value. But anyway, harnesses are easy to use, easy to install, very helpful, and they're a great way to build guitars and to control your electronics. Hope this was helpful. Tune in again. If you have any questions or comments, you probably know how to get a hold of me. Send me a message and we can talk. Thank you.